free Odyssey app. It's Dom time. Now, Dom Giordano.
Yes, it is Dom time. Welcome in, everyone. Good Tuesday. Got a lot of big issues out there. A lot of great people coming by. A really fun coming off the Eagles' loss last night. Side question. But let me settle some of the family business here, okay? And maybe we'll get them on tomorrow. We're booked up today. But, you know, Scott Presler. It's not just Presler, by the way. It's Citizens Alliance. They don't have the charisma, the humor, the story of Scott Presler. But they're going to knock on 500,000 doors in Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, we're knocking day and night on the door of Larry, whatever his name is, who heads up the state committee, the GOP in Pennsylvania, to just come on the show, let alone knock on a door and get a mail-in ballot.
Can you do that a couple more times?
Yeah,
no, seriously. YouTube.com/@DomShow or at 1210WPHT. Like and subscribe. I need the camera to move down a little bit, Dom.
Oh, okay. All right.
Knock it a few more.
Yes. All right. Well, maybe Larry, who heads up the state, Dan, if I promised him I'd go and get 25 mail-in ballots done for him, you know, maybe instead of we'll pay him in mail-in ballot. Well, he doesn't like them, so you wouldn't like that. So we'll pay him in being a loser and losing some more. Scott Presler is responsible for Beaver County, Pennsylvania. All right. And this guy drills down to the smallest things, turning from blue to red. I didn't know it was blue. I don't know where. Yeah, I do know where Beaver is a little bit in Pennsylvania. And guess who jumps in on Twitter? Ronna McDaniel jumps in and says that big news. Beaver County, Pennsylvania is officially flipped from blue to red. There are now more registered Republicans than Democrats.
No, she did it.
Yes. And then she says, together with the Pennsylvania GOP, our data-driven ground game has been in Pennsylvania registering voters since 2016 and has never left.
Taking credit?
These weasels.
What?
These outright all-time weasels. It's Presler who's doing this. So people went to Presler's Twitter and were going wild. He was gracious about it, but he didn't deny it. He didn't say, oh, no, you're all wrong. He just said, here's what he said, the people know. The people know. This guy knows how to carry this off. Yeah, so this is what we're up against. It's not just the Democrats, the media, et cetera. It's these lackeys in the Republican Party. I do blame somewhat, though, Trump and the Trump campaign. You know, if I had their ear and just made a plea with him, I'd say, Pennsylvania, you know it and I know it. Don't let anybody kid you. That's the kick it. You win Pennsylvania, these other states are probably going to be wins in the swing states, but Pennsylvania's harder. And if you win Pennsylvania, you win the White House. So get rid of Vince Fennerty here in Philadelphia and get rid of this other guy or put Scott Presler, just anoint him, say he's our chairman now. You know, Trump can't. Wait a minute. You can't do that. You know, what are you going to do about it? My God, Ronna McDaniel strikes again. But Trump backed her over Harmeet Dillon. Go figure.
Do you think with this, taking credit that they're not even looking inward and realizing that it's essentially a commentary on their ridiculously horrible campaigning?
No.
Like, are they going to adjust and actually follow what Scott's doing, or do they just say
they're going to stay
in the
the course
back
unless somebody stops them?
Wow.
And I look here, and I've said this before. Now I'm feeling a little bit better because Kellyanne Conway, and we're trying to get her on. Kellyanne Conway's on the job about what Republicans ought to say on abortion. Trump, in his own way, I've said this, has done a good job. And every body that I read that makes any sense thinks abortion will not be as big of an issue in 2024. But here comes the big but. The Supreme Court is going to rule on the efficacy and safety of that abortion drug through the mail. And that decision will come down in mid to late June. And it's like, oh, my God, here we go again. You know, I haven't seen the legal arguments. I think it is allowable. I hope the court sees it that way in this situation. But if they don't, then we're going to have to deal with that. But the one thing we know how to deal with, or at least some people do, is the mail-in ballot. But these people are not going to do it at the state level and certainly in Philadelphia. So what are you going to do about it if you're the candidate? What are you going to do if you want Trump or whoever the Republican is to be the next president of the United States. You're not just going to lap up how bad Biden. By the way, big poll out today, Monmouth. It is hard to believe. For the first time in approval rating, Kamala Harris trumps Joe Biden.
No.
Kamala Harris is at a 35% approval. Joe Biden only 34. Now, some of it is they're not focused in on Kamala Harris. Her real approval rating is negative 1 million if they focus in on her. But Biden is below Kamala Harris. I bet he's sending over not just to his own guys when he said, I want those polls to rise. I want hers to go down. Let's tank her.
So whatever number she is right now, we should consider it the Kamala line.
Yes,
and make that become a theme.
Now, for listeners who don't know the Mendoza line, but I'll have to steal that. I'll give you credit for the next 30 seconds.
Thank
then
you.
I'll say I came up with the Harris line. I think many people on the national level know the Mendoza line. Apparently, there's a new line, Dan, for incompetency. Jim Garrity, the guy that writes for National Review that I often reference, says today Biden is like Aaron Rodgers. The Jets depending on a 40-year-old quarterback not to get hurt, okay? And the backup guy, it's like Kamala Harris. What are the odds of putting Kamala Harris versus him? Is there a worse guy? I'm sitting here and I tell you how many times I wouldn't pick this guy. You can't say that, Dom. It's discriminatory. He comes from a life of wealth and privilege. Why wouldn't I pick that? Well, I just happen to believe in football. That's probably a negative. Don't you think, Dan?
Yeah.
I mean, I want a guy who came up in a very difficult way. When it's 4th and 1, I'm betting on him. All right, speaking of which, feel free to pounce on the Eagles today.
Yeah, please.
After last night. Let me add one football story, then I'll tell you why the Eagles are on our mind for the side question. A guy named Richard Mendenhall, who was a decent running back for the Steelers a few years back, suddenly pops up on Twitter. And he says the following: I'm sick of average white guys like Dan Borowski commenting on football. Y'all not even good at football. Can we please replace the Pro Bowl with an all-black versus all-white bowl so these cats can stop trying to teach me who's good at football? I'm better than your sick SIC goat. All right, so on Twitter, former Houston, Texas, and he'll be a Hall of Famer, J.J. Watt joked, we'd get cooked at corner. Not going to lie, if we had such a game, nobody on our squad is covering Tyreek Hill.
8 Jason Seahorns.
Yes. Yeah, well, he was put in there. Yeah, he's probably the last white starting cornerback in the NFL. I don't know if there's any right now. There'd be big stories if there were. So this guy, I think he's upset he didn't get a commentator job in football. And he sees all these white guys. And Dan, there's any number of them. In fact, I believe to be a good commentator, you probably have to be a guy who barely made the team and you hung on and you figured out everything you could about football. If you're a star, I don't think you think about it. I think you just are able to do it. You know, it'd be like Larry Bird trying to teach me how to trash talk and shoot 3-pointers. That'd be a little bit difficult.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
That's your new target, 3-pointers against Larry Bird.
Yeah, I mean, as he backed me down and I was hitting him in the back of the head. Yeah. Don't turn your back, Larry. All right, let me give you the side question. We got a lot of people stopping by. Is Griff Jenkins at the border or he's just back?
Don't know for sure. I'll find out here in a couple minutes.
Yeah, Griff for Fox, all-time great guy, has been at Eagle Pass. And looking again today, now Governor Abbott has put in a new law, probably not going to meet constitutional muster, but it'll hold them off for a while, to say that police there can arrest people that are there illegally. All right, so he's given power to local police, et cetera, in order to deal with this problem that gets more monumental by the day. Do you have that cut, Dan, too? I wanted to play it with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Here is the sound of the day. This is a former press person and advisor to President Obama. Listen to his advice to Biden. Now, he's correct, but can he get away with it? He's advising Biden, just talk about how dangerous Trump is, threat to democracy. He's on with the backup, John Mersham, the Douglas Brinkley guy. He's the backup stuffed shirt historian they bring on when Mersham is busy or Beschloss is seeing his doctors. Yeah, Beschloss is the much more intriguing. So do what these guys say. Just bash Trump and what he's going to do to the country if elected. Do not talk about inflation anymore. Don't answer questions on it. Don't try to tell people something. Just deflect. I think that's great advice. That's what Biden should try to do. Here's what he said.
Robert Gibbs, you're hearing this rhetoric about immigration, drawing from a fascist dictator like Adolf Hitler, drawing from the words that he put down in Mein Kampf. President Biden has been fighting for democracy, fighting on saving democracy in the run-up to the 2024 election. The polls, though, are not showing that. They are not leaning in his favor. What is he not doing that is not helping him get through?
Well, let's separate this rhetoric and I think maybe those issues. But as it relates to this, I think what you're seeing, and I agree with Douglas here, I think that you're seeing Trump play the calling card that he's, quite frankly, originally played when he first decided to run for president in 2015. And you've heard that rhetoric over and over and over again get stepped up. I think the challenge that Republicans have, and I think what you try to see Lindsey Graham do, is focus in on the issue of border security and immigration and away from this idea of this rhetoric. Because I think the big challenge that Trump has is he's going to scare lots of people in the suburbs that are concerned about border security and that see the advantage that Republicans have on border security and impact the president's electoral standing with the type of rhetoric that, quite frankly, sends them in droves away from somebody like Trump. I think President Biden is in the situation, in the political situation that he's in right now, for a whole lot of reasons, but most predominantly, I think people are still feeling the pinch of inflation, even as those numbers have come down.
That's not true.
This back and forth between these two statements is exactly what you see Biden needing and wanting to do, quite frankly, in engaging that rhetoric of Trump and beginning to force this choice so that people can see not just a president in a country struggling with inflation, but what that alternative is.
All right. You see what here's where we're going. Let's not talk. And he says it's coming down. No, it's not, buddy. It's baked in. The rate's coming down. How many times do you have to say it? And I'm not even saying, Dan, that guy's that clever that he knows he's doing it. They actually have it in their head. That's how incompetent it is. It's not coming down. It's baked in at 17%. For it to come down, it would have to mean it is lowering what it was when Biden took over, or at least only increasing by the usual rate of a couple of points a year. So it should be around 4.5 up from the time he took over, 5 at max, not 17% and climbing. All right, but his advice is good advice for Biden. Don't talk about this anymore to these people. Just say, look, you're going to be miserable, but the country's over if we get Trump. That's his advice. Coming up, the New York Times, of all places, says the reason why Trump is just killing it is that people remember him as a moderate, not his style, not the rhetoric, but what he does when he's actually in there as a businessman negotiator. And I think that's pretty accurate. That's exactly what Trump did. How many wild things did he do? Did he get into wars? No. He's the anti-unending wars. All right, so 855-839-1210. That's how you can get inside question today. Coming off, what a week. Dan, I've been talking about Nick Sirianni. I said it for a while. This guy is not Bill Belichick, the past Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Imposter, maybe even fraudulent. So today, all-time fraud or imposter at least. I'll take off the board Howard Stern.
Ooh, okay.
And I'll throw it out there a little bit to get the people thinking. I'll take Joe Rogan on that. I think there's a lot
I
think there's a lot of imposter there.
You don't think he's a fraud? Or you think he's a fraud?
Bordering on frauddom. Not completely
Ooh,
fraudulent.
Okay.
Bordering.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like taking answers that are bordering. Controversial answers that some might not think he's fraudulent.
Yes.
But some may.
Yes.
I'm gonna take Steve Ducey off the board.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I got to do it.
Yeah.
Where was that clip? Who was he talking to? And he just changes the subject right away. And it's Chuck DeVore. You had me pull a clip.
Yeah.
And he's not listening to him answer. And this is just a perfect example of why Steve's such a fraud.
It was north of $100 a barrel.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. Chuck, I had no idea you were involved in Operation Praying.
Operation Praying Mantis. I saw that this morning. Danny does a thing with his hand, too. He kind of goes like this all the time.
He does.
And Brian Kilme's just over there. Oh, how many hours till I get to my radio show?
What is the show called? Winning Time, about the Lakers rise.
Yes.
And they have the announcer, and every time
Chick Hearn.
Chick Hearn, every time he closes his hand, he's supposed to stop talking. That's what it reminds me of when Steve does the arm thing. It's like, this is my turn to talk. Hello, everybody.
He's bad.
Yeah, he is.
How does that succeed? My God.
One more thing I want to take off. I want to think outside of people as well.
Yes.
What else are frauds? And the stronger the fraud you can give us, the bigger or the better. Kraft singles. They're frauds, complete
Why is
frauds.
that?
It's cheese product.
Yeah.
Similar-
It's not cheese. It's cheese product.
Yeah, it's cheese product. It's not cheese. And Mavesy used to buy it, and I had her stop. I'm like, I don't want to eat this pasteurized cheese product.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a very good point. Boy, Maisie being the bad food choice here.
I know.
That's shocking.
I know.
All right, 855.
Throw it on her.
855-839-1210. You hit us with that. Let's have an update. We have a fairly close contest here between the Earl of Tacony and Bruce of Upper Northeast Philadelphia.
Oh, speaking of Bruce, I got to take Bruce Springsteen off the board, too.
Of course.
Yeah,
Yes.
playing behind us. Complete fraud.
Take it off before they all call in with that. Yes.
Right now we're sitting at, so we got Earl versus Bruce for the Battle of the Northeast, a big semifinal matchup, two heavyweights. Currently, Earl has 58.5% of the vote to Bruce's 41.5%. So head to @DomShow1210 on Twitter or X to go vote.
All right. Yes, @DomShow1210. Love to have you vote. Then we'll get to the two finalists later this afternoon. We'll announce that, and we'll have a winner in a day or so. All right, 855-839-1210. You just jump in now. Hit us with that all-time imposter / fraud. And this guy, Mendenhall, is that'd be better than the Pro Bowl, though. Can you see the NFL? Yeah, that's a good idea.
Would be fun.
Yes. Now, players that are biracial, though, I don't know how Mendenhall would deal with that. I think one of them might be pretty prominent. So
it would be interesting.
Yeah, I think Watt is correct. Who are the cornerbacks going to be? But that would be an interesting.
Reed Blankenship times 4.
Yeah, Reed Blankenship will definitely make that team. The Eagles will be represented. All right, phone lines are 855-839-1210.
Kale and Company weekday mornings 6 till 10.
We are going to enter next year with the smallest military in over 80 years as active duty troop numbers sink to less than 1.3 million. And the Pentagon is now coming out and issuing a national call of service to Gen Z.
Does anybody get the feeling that maybe if this continues to go in the wrong direction, we're going to have a draft?
Start your day with Kale and Company weekday mornings 6 till 10 on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171.
I feel like I'm constantly cleaning hair off my bathroom floor. At least my Swiffer sweeper makes it easy. Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths have ultra-thick pads to trap and lock hairs, like a hair magnet. And when I'm finished cleaning up my hair, Sweeper takes care of his too. Now the hair is gone, all thanks to Swiffer. Try Swiffer Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths. I promise you'll love them or your money back. And also try Swiffer Sweeper Wet to make quick work of tough, sticky messes.
For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Hatfield Pork brings flavor to the table the whole family will enjoy and keep you moving through the day. With over 24 distinct flavors that can be ready in minutes, it's food you can feel good about serving. Explore endless meal possibilities with Hatfield's variety of marinated pork, ground sausage, ham, and bacon. Find your flavor with Hatfield. Visit simplyhatfield.com for recipes and to find a retailer near you.
Calling on North Wales to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
All right, Tom Giordano Show. The Fox Twitter says all-time record at the border, 12,600 encounters, meaning that they know of trying to storm the border in 24 hours. 12,600. It's astounding. Griff Jenkins will be here to give us a little bit of a sense of what that is like. Now, last time I toured and we broadcast from El Paso, that day that we were there in El Paso, there were only 6 encounters total, Dan. And El Paso used to be overrun. Why? They were blocking it. They knew what they were doing. We went out in the desert with them and all. People trying to come in that way. They could see a coyote running across a mile and a half away, night vision all, from a crevice that we're on top of in the desert.
Was he chasing the Roadrunner?
Yes, he was chasing the Roadrunner. Well, Joey Vento was with me doing it. Imagine only 6. And Eagle Pass, Texas, 24 hours, 12,600. My goodness. All right, 855-839-1210. You get on board. New York Times now, and then I'm coming to your calls. Not me. New York Times saying this. The author Matthew Schmidt says the secret of Trump's appeal isn't authoritarianism. He says the key is, despite Trump's lack of protocol, intemperate rhetoric, erratic behavior on the surface, on matters ranging from healthcare and entitlements to foreign policy and trade, Trump routinely rejected the most unpopular ideas of both political parties, like all those Republican congressmen, Dan, when I was in the Oval Office at one time, coming in and saying, led by Dan Crenshaw, let's put troops in Syria. I knew I could just look at Trump's face. There was no way. He was giving these guys 10 minutes, looking at his watch as he was doing. They weren't going to do it. When asked whether Trump was too conservative in a recent poll, not conservative enough, or just about right, people picked him not too far either way. So again, Trump's rhetoric, lack of protocol, tweets are one thing, but he governs like a negotiator, compromiser, businessman. At least that's how people see it. And I think that's accurate when you look at the policies up and down the line. Now, a number of them are conservative, but some of the spending, some of the other things are not. And Trump supporters, some of the base are not. They like that. I think that's accurate. So can Biden really go around? What else is he going to do? The inflation thing is inescapable. So what do? Well, that Obama advisor, I think, is the best guess for him. Just try to talk, well, it's either me or Trump. And hope these people in the suburbs are scared to death because other voting blocs are not. Is that all they have? Yes. Inflation's not going to go away between now and then. Dan referenced that Ducey interview this morning, and the guy DeVore that was on talked about we're being shot at all over the place by Iranian operatives, one way or the other, are shipping across the Gulf. Why don't we do more about it? Well, if we did directly toward Iran, Biden's afraid oil would go up to $100 a barrel. The one thing they can point to are gas prices. Yeah, well, wasn't that enough for you? No. We're looking at inflation across the board. and people get it. All right, it's 855-839-1210. You get in. Mary's in media to start us off on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Mary, good Tuesday. What do you have today?
Well, Dr. Fauci, the all-time fraud of our lifetime.
Yeah.
Okay, make your case a little bit more.
So, well, I mean, I'm a healthcare provider. I
Okay.
mean, even now, he comes out and he talks. He's not accurate in what he said in the past.
Mhm.
He discounts. He doesn't tell the truth. He's still not telling the truth.
Well, and, I can hardly wait because January 8th and 9th, he's going to be testifying this time in the House. I'd rather put him in a cage match with Rand Paul, but he's going to be in the House testifying for 2 days. Oh, my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
So
As soon as you start to see his teeth, that's when you know he's not telling the truth.
Okay. Thank you, Mary. So Mary's call is a
Body
perfect
language
example.
expert.
Look, I agree with her on Fauci, but when she said she's a healthcare provider, yeah, it had something to it, So when you call in, it's all in the call too, as far as who you think is an imposter, who is a fraud.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
I don't think he meant to say it that way, but
just had to fit that in.
yeah, there you go. All right, so this column, The Secret Sauce of Trump, isn't authoritarianism. It's more the businessman negotiator. Now, in 2020, though, did these people in the suburbs buy that? Well, my theory on that. They feel they're insulated from crime, the border. Guess what they're not insulated from, though? Inflation. That's my theory on 2020. So it's a first world problem then. You're relatively insulated from the effects of places like Philadelphia. The border, you feel, doesn't really impact you that much. So what do you look at? Well, you don't like Trump's personality. You don't like the tweets. You don't like the meanness. You don't like the lack of protocol. Biden seems like this normal. That's how he was sold, right? Let's go with that. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that what it boiled down to for people? Well, now we have something that's universal unless you're very wealthy. And even if you are, it still hurts you, but maybe you can insulate from it. And that is inflation, Bidenomics, and seeing how incapable this guy is. So are those people going to say, I just still can't do it with Trump? Well, maybe some, but maybe they won't vote for Biden. Maybe they won't vote. All right, 855-839-1210. You get a line here on Talk Radio 1210. And Alec Baldwin yesterday. I never feel sorry for Baldwin, Dan, but I don't know about you. I kind of like his style here with these people.
Do you?
Yes, you don't?
It's a little aggressive. I like he went from 0 to 100 pretty quickly there.
Yeah, what do you think's going to? Here's a little bit of Alec Baldwin yesterday. I think he's gone back to his apartment penthouse with his wife, who is or is not Latino. I forget what the Latinx.
What was the
decision on that, which is pretty much, you talk about imposters and frauds, it might be a lot of that. And he's confronted and called this kind of fat cat Hollywood star by the mob who took over the train station again yesterday. Here's how it sounded.
What do you mean? What do you mean? You went to Hollywood. You said, you condemn Israel for the accident? No, he has to support it. Guys and children.
You already got your mind made up. Whatever question you got, right?
Oh, I'm asking you a question.
I'm in Hollywood.
Is that your answer? Is that your answer?
You ask stupid questions.
Do you condemn?
Ask me a smart question.
Do you condemn Israel? Do you condemn Israel? Big man. You condemn Israel.
All right, Dan, we get the point here with Baldwin. Yeah, he did go from 0 to 100. Ask me the question, though, with that one guy. I like that. And John Fetterman has all the posters of those held hostage up in his office, and he only takes them down when they're released. Something's up with Fetterman. All right, we're going to talk with Griff Jenkins next. It's the holiday season. We all know what that means. In addition to presents under the tree, it's time to use those FSA, HSA benefits we all accrue all year long. If your benefits are still available, now's a great time to reach out to my good friend, Dr. Robert Bentz from the Bentz Dental Group to set up your appointment for a consultation. Now, you know how much I admire Dr. Bentz and his quality work. He's my dentist. Attention to detail, investment in the overall health of his patients. He's a board-certified prosthodontist was recently appointed to the board of the American College of Prosthodontics. So if you're considering dental implants, reconstruction, or any other dental or prosthodontic needs, call the Bentz Dental Group, B-E-N-T-Z Dental Group, to schedule that appointment with Dr. Bentz. Don't let 2023 end without taking advantage of those FSA, HSA benefits. Visit BentzDentalGroup.com to book that appointment or call them at 610-272-6949. 610-272-6949.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I have a serious heart condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or HCM. Some symptoms include being short of breath, feeling tired, or having dizziness or chest pain. I still had symptoms on my beta blocker, so I asked my cardiologist about any treatment advances. It was a breakthrough for me. That's why I'm working with Bristol Myers Squibb to raise awareness about HCM and to help others like me. Talk to your cardiologist today and visit hcmrealtalk.com for more information.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb.
Brent Selleck here. Teamwork is important to me, so I turned to the team at Gerhard's Appliances to power my new house. I needed an appliance game plan, and Gerhard's consultant walked me through the showroom and helped me customize my entire house. From a double fridge that's the size of a pantry, to a new range, and 2 dishwashers just for my wife, I scored a touchdown with Gerhard's Appliances. Gerhard's is your star player for your home's appliances. Visit gerhardsappliance.com.
Weather sponsored by Joseph Anthony, Retreat, Spa, and Salon.
Today, much colder under partly sunny skies, still windy with a high below average of 42. A very cold night tonight, partly cloudy with a low 28 for the city and colder out in the suburbs. And not as windy on Wednesday, mostly sunny skies with a high 47.
Weather sponsored by Joseph Anthony Retreat Spa and Salon. The secret of finishing your holiday shopping with 3 locations, Glen Mills, Springfield, and Center City at the Lowe's Hotel. Visit in person or online at josephanthony.com where gift cards are available. That's josephanthony.com.
Broadcasting live from the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and on the free Odyssey app.
All right, Dom Giordano's show. Nobody better, no better guy in the media than Griff Jenkins. And we love having him on, particularly after the border and what we're seeing play out now. It is stunning, even for what's happened during the Biden era. Let's go to Griff Jenkins, who I think is over near the Capitol today, not the border, but he's back from the border here on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Griff, welcome back to Philadelphia.
Hey, Dom, it's great, as always, to be with you in an important time. And I am near the Capitol here, just a block away, because I'm trying to get the potentates on the Potomac, otherwise known as your illustrious U.S. Congress, to pay attention to what, the saying that I've always heard over the last 2 decades, Dom, was if you see something, say something. Well, guess what? I just spent 10 days in Eagle Pass, Texas, where I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, I see something. It's literally the rest of the planet illegally coming across our border and getting released into the U.S., which is driving more to come. And I make a joke, but you got to laugh and keep from crying, because literally today, and this is why it's so important that I'm talking to you right now, the images you're seeing on the drone on Fox today is under that port of entry in Eagle Pass, which in December of 2022, they may have had 600, 700 tops in terms of migrant encounters. All the guys on the ground there, the Border Patrol men and women, have been blowing my phone up all night long and this morning, because they're like, Griff, we got to get you back here just after you left. Right now, they're dealing with 4,500 migrants that they are processing and transporting. And they've got in custody already at their facility called Firefly, where they stood up these white temporary tents. They were never intended to be permanent, but have been there now for 2 years, to process them, to detain them, and then ultimately release them. They've got 5,300 in custody,
Wow.
which is over 260% over capacity. And here's the important thing, Dom, if you don't hear anything else, our great listeners don't hear anything else, when you hear these numbers, sometimes, 3,000 yesterday, now 4,500, here's the point. There's only 20 Border Patrol agents on the ground right now dealing with 4,500 illegal migrants that have crossed. That's a 200 plus to 1 ratio. And it's pushing the Border Patrol to a breaking point, the likes of which they've never seen. Now, broaden it a little bit to the entire southwest border. I reported from my CBP sources this morning that there was 12,600 total migrant encounters in the last 24 hours, a new record. The old record was 12,300 set last week. Now we've upped it by 300. It can't sustain. It's unbelievable where my buddy Bill Malusian, my colleague Bill Malusian's in Louisville, Arizona, they have more than 3,000. And as if it mattered, but to raise the point, these migrants aren't from Mexico, Honduras, and Guatemala, the Northern Triangle we're used to dealing with. We have repatriation agreements, so we can simply send them back if they are fit to be deported and sent back to their countries. There's an overwhelming majority coming from African countries like Senegal, Guinea, Bangladesh, Dom, that have to get additional screening and have to be detained somewhere, but we have no place to put them. It is every bit, without hyperbole, because I'm not a guy giving hyperbole. I'm too old for that crap now. I just turned 53. but being one not given hyperbole, I totally agree with a Border Patrol agent that texted me last night or early this morning around 4:30 in the morning, get this ding. I look down and all it said, Dom, was those are the words the agent texted me at 4:30 in the morning. He's a guy I've spent a lot of time, not just last week in Eagle Pass, but in the year and a half I've been going down there. I was in Eagle Pass in September, October, and December. We've slowly watched it get worse and worse. It's as if, Dom, someone called you, your neighbor, and said, "Hey, man, your garage is on fire. I think your house could be in danger of burning down." And you're like, "Nah, it's good. I'm just going to keep fishing and doing whatever I'm doing." And then another person calls and says, "You know what? Your garage and your kitchen is definitely going up in flames. Here's live video of it right now." And then now we're at the point where the whole damn house is burning down. We're showing you live pictures, and this administration is simply refusing to acknowledge it.
Unbelievable. Even John Fetterman, who's had a change of heart, Griff, on several, said recently, this is like Pittsburgh come to the border. I think he said every month when a Pittsburgh is going to come into the country every month. It starts to reverberate, but I don't think Mayorkas, as the agent of Joe Biden, cares whatever we say on this. The only thing that's going to stop it is seemingly unless you think the negotiators, I know Democrats in the Senate were holding out for 5,000 before they had a statewide Republican. The House is almost completely under.
That's exactly right. You put your finger on it. And by the way, to walk it out, to ultimately answer your question, I think that guys like Senator Fetterman are finally seeing the writing on the wall and are saying, "Hey, hold on. This is just wrong. And you know what? Democrats are going to get thrown out of office next November if indeed the polls continue to show what they're showing now, and if indeed the American people will continue, and rightfully so, be upset to see what they see happening at the border." And the part that should never fall out of sight too, which is the national security aspect of this. And I don't like to scare anybody. However, the facts are that since October 1st began, the new fiscal year, we're averaging about 1,000 migrants who are known gotaways. We've had more than 70,000 in the last 2.5 months. That's preposterous. That's essentially, if you go to the Steelers game and sit in that stadium and look around, it's as if in the last 2 months, the entire population of that stadium illegally crossed. Not the ones that Fetterman's talking about that we encountered. These, we don't know who they are, where they're from, or why they're here.
Well, I'll give you, because you're busy on Capitol Hill and the border. Here in Philadelphia, Griff, we became the first U.S. city late yesterday to ban sending illegal aliens back to their native countries for medical care. We're talking long-term medical care. Philadelphia is saying, as a sanctuary city, if they have a medical complaint, hospitals have to deal with this long-term.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I saw and worked it a little bit into my story at 10 a.m. Pittsburgh's mayor Ed Gainey telling the Washington Post recently that maybe the solution to revitalizing the Rust Belt is just send us all those migrants under that bridge. He said we're not here to reject any immigration.
Oh man,
is what Gainey said. And that sounds good. And it's compassionate and it's a great soundbite, but he may want to call Eric Adams in New York City or Governor Hochul and ask him how that's working out, because it's completely depleted New York City's resources.
Well, and Pittsburgh is the classic shot in the beer union town too. Those guys can make, and women, a better salary if they don't have to deal with under the table illegal labor.
Yeah, and I'll give, even to go deeper in your local politics, because I pay attention as much as I can to various things, but your Allegheny GOP guy, Samuel DeMarco,
right?
I forget exactly what his title is, but he was quoted in this Washington Post article essentially saying, we want to encourage legal immigration, and bring people here that have skills, that can do stuff, but we're not going to do it by just letting everybody under the bridge across illegally just show up and demand free things. And for the life of me, I can't understand why that isn't the driving conversation in Washington, which, by the way, the only reason why you've got these illustrious, important members of Congress, not the House, they went home, senators working on a deal, is because Republicans held the purse strings on Ukraine. And we are seeing, I think, and I'll just leave it at this in a nutshell without trying to go on too many tangents with your listeners, but we are seeing the ultimate consequences of an administration that came into power 2.5 years ago that decided to prioritize mass release and have zero consequences for illegally crossing our border, and the inaction at the federal level of both Democrat and Republicans over not just the last 2 years, but the last 20 years, I would argue, in failing to address the immigration issue in this country.
Yeah, well put, Griff. Now, here's the big question why we really wanted you on. Fox's New Year's party this year, because we don't get to talk with you often enough. You're flying back and forth. Are you part of that? I remember the one year with the glasses and the whole thing.
You have a great memory. And, when I was like crowd surfing the New Year's revelers in Times Square in New York was among my finest work. How I didn't get a Tony, Oscar, and Emmy all wrapped in one. I'm still contesting it, but I believe this year they're having the Fox Saturday Night Crew do something. So I'm not doing that, but I am going to be Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and all next week co-hosting Fox and Friends. So tune in if you can.
Oh, okay. We will definitely do that. That makes us do that even more. Well, Griff, thank you.
I know the Mummers would welcome Griff with open arms if he wants to come down
crowd
here.
surf in Philadelphia. Yes, sure. Well, we will definitely do that. Griff, thank you so much. Merry Christmas. And again, you'll be co-hosting Fox and Friends on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
And all next week. Merry Christmas to you guys. Have a great one.
Thank you, Griff. Thank you. Griff Jenkins here on Talk Radio 1210. Dan, even more, usually you have to ask a question or two. I could barely get any in. You could tell he's worried based upon what he's seeing. I don't know, though. See, when we asked that question a couple of weeks ago, the guy that wrote that article that we can't get, he takes off after that college is the biggest threat to America. You said the border. Are people in the suburbs feeling that? I still think they're not really. Maybe a little bit more because of the drama of this. I think it's still inflation with them that is the way to get to them vis-a-vis against Biden. 12,600 people in one day. And that's the people they encountered. So it's probably 13, 14,000 people, something like that, they guesstimate. And this is December. This usually isn't the big month. What's it going to be like if it looks like Trump will win the presidency? Oh, my God. Like a week before. Can we see 1 million people in one? I mean, that's a stunning number. Chicago's due to get 30,000 more, says Abbott. Philadelphia, I think 3,000 or 4,000. New York, 55,000 more. How much does it take before the guy in Chicago will not. I'll give you details on this. Philadelphia, 14-1 yesterday, becomes the first U.S. city to ban sending illegal aliens to their native countries for medical care, long-term medical care. Look, if somebody's hurt while they're here, you got to save them. But these are long-term diseases and the like. They don't go back. You got to treat them here. Well, who's going to pay for that? You know exactly who's going to pay for it. Multiply that by thousands, tens of thousands. All right, phone lines are 855-839-1210. Let's talk Captain Chuck. He's here. It's a big week. Christmas is approaching. Time to get those orders in. Remember to try Captain Chucky's brand new product, Philly Famous Clams Casino, that mouth-watering addition to your table. Ask your local Captain Chucky's for availability and the perfect time to check out all of Captain Chucky's offers. That means the delicious stuffed mushrooms, various salads. Let them help you plan for your table. Always plenty of seafood, too. Several choices of breaded, non-breaded crab cakes. Literally a crab cake for everybody, as well as dessert, soup, sides, appetizers. My personal favorite, the Dom roll. They always use only the highest quality ingredients. And their Gulf shrimp, a huge hit. It's always wild caught, never farm raised. So now's the perfect time to order all those holiday entertaining needs. Visit Captain Chucky's locations everywhere. New owners, Frank Velacci and Michaela Burns in Colmar, John and Cindy Clark in Huntington Valley, Tony and Jamie Parson are in Cinnaminson and Runnymede, New Jersey. See the Vogelsang family. In Flowertown, see the Smaraglia family. And in Ocean City, see Chris and Donna Ryan in Seattle. See the McCann family. Seattle and Ocean City open Fridays and Saturdays, noon to 5. Congrats to Sam Cancelleri, Irish Mike McGarry. Their Medford, New Jersey location going strong. Northeast Philly, Home Circle now open. Congrats to the Graziani family. Remember, we love crabcakes.com.
Rich Zeoli.
For God's sake, we don't need Rich's running commentary during a live news event. Just shut your pie hole for once. Geesh, what has the station devolved to? Here's the thing. My show, my rules. If I want to talk over this, I'm talking over this. Marcus Aurelius says, I like Rich's running commentary at the press conference, but then again, I like the smell of bus fumes. That's fair. Thank you very much for listening. We appreciate that.
Rich Zeoli, weekday afternoons 3 to 7. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and on the free Odyssey app.
The life of an Eagles fan is a wild ride. Some years we triumph. Some years we don't. What never changes year after year is how we get to the game, shoulder to shoulder with our fellow fans on SEPTA. And this season, fans ride home free from NRG Station on the Broad Street line thanks to Unibet, an official casino and sportsbook partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. Plan your trip to the game and learn more about free rides home, sponsored by Unibet at iseptaphilly.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
She gave you a tie, he gave you a toaster. But what both of you really wanted all along was a new kitchen. So toss the tie into the toaster and head to the holiday sale at Colonial Marble and Granite. Right now, get a complete new kitchen fully installed for $13,599 with 0 down and 0 interest at any Colonial location. No batteries required. Give your home a New Year's makeover at Colonial Marble and Granite. But don't sleep on it. Sale ends January 1st. Restrictions apply. See colonialmarble.net for details.
At Cherry Hill Volvo, we have started a huge renovation. Take our already incredibly generous offers and add an additional $1,000 off all new Volvos, plus owner loyalty, plus up to $2,000 when financing or leasing with Volvo cars, plus $7,500 lease rebate on all plug-in Volvos. This is a fabulous time to purchase from Cherry Hill Volvo. This month's offers are incredible, and we must make space for all the construction vehicles. Visit us now.
Dawn Stensland here, friends. It's the holiday season. You need to hurry to your local Piazza dealer. Take advantage of year-end savings. Now through January 2nd, you get financing as low as 0% for up to 60 months on select new models, like the 2024 Mazda CX-5 from Piazza Mazda of Westchester and Reading, or the 2024 Tucson and the 2023 Santa Fe from Piazza Hyundai of Westchester and Pottstown. Just visit your local Piazza dealer for details and additional offers. PiazzaAutoGroup.com. Tell Dawn sent you.
Chronic pain, cancer, fatigue. Find out about the benefits of medical hydration therapy on Health Watch with Dr. Molly Fantasia every Sunday morning at 8 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Talk Radio 1210 WPHT, broadcasting from the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter.
Tom Giordano Show. Welcome in. That was unbelievable from Griff Jenkins. Got a couple of texts in during that. I don't want to say from whom exactly, but yeah, I am noticing this. There are developments. Have you seen this story? Because at least up until when we went on the air, I haven't checked since then. The Philadelphia Inquirer doesn't think it's much of a story, Dan, that this trans activist male has been charged with the rape of 2 minors. And this trans activist is very prominent, got the endorsement of people like Kendra Brooks and Governor Josh Shapiro. And yet, someone just sent me this. 8 counts related to the sexual abuse of children have been leveled against him, including indecent assault against a person less than 13 years of age. According to a court summary, he has been recorded as a female. Just an added little thing. But let's see how much coverage the Inquirer gives to this, given some of those things that I just mentioned. It's typical of what goes on here. I mentioned to Griff, though, that Philadelphia became the first sanctuary city, not New York, not Chicago, to ban sending illegal aliens to their native countries to receive long-term medical care. 14-1 vote proved a bill that would ban hospitals in the city from sending illegal aliens to their native countries when they need long-term medical care. It would require hospitals to keep illegal aliens needing medical attention in Philadelphia when they would otherwise be sent to their native countries. Hospitals that receive complaints over the issues will be investigated by city agencies. Look, if it's an emergency, obviously you're not going to send the person back. I get that. But this means long-term care of any sort forever, at least until, well, when are we going to have the majority in Philadelphia City Council that are not progressives and or Democrats? When might that be? I'm trying to look into my crystal ball and to see what millennia that might happen in. All right. What might a meteor would have to hit Philadelphia or something. And even then, I don't see it. All right, 855-839-1210. That's how you get on board. Let's go to Marianne in Doylestown on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Marianne.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
I'm calling just with a comment, or I guess a suggestion regarding the long-term care of illegal immigrants in Philadelphia.
Yes.
If they're not going to, take the expense to obviously to transport someone who is in that severe of a condition, it's extremely expensive. However, why isn't anyone calling the consulates of those nations there's 39 consulates in Philadelphia, because they're there to help their citizens. So how about they foot the bill to transport them back, or if they're going to remain for the care in the U.S., to pay for it?
Well, exactly right. But see, that's not Philadelphia City Council. They're there just to spend our money. Last year, Americans footed the bill, the best that can be determined, more than $316 million in medical care for border crossers, illegal aliens. And we're working on a guest, Marianne, of something that's been exposed, how the veterans, the money that's supposed to go to our veterans, is sometimes being used for a lot of those millions to pay for people here illegally.
That's just completely immoral, if not, illegal in my book. But honestly, someone needs to be calling up the Dominican consulate, the Mexican consulate in Philadelphia, and sending them the bills and making them pay for their foreign nationals that are here. That's their mission. That's why they are there at our invitation and get to have offices in the U.S. and in Philadelphia.
Well put. Thank you, Marianne. Yes, I agree with you completely. And again, we're not talking about things that are always life-threatening, this long-term care. It could be anything that's long-term care that's related to a medical condition. The hospital would have to continue to do this. How long? Well, as long as Philadelphia City Council says they'll investigate you. All right, coming up, we're going to speak with a guy from the Heritage Foundation the Heritage Foundation put this out the other day, the Success Plan. It's a twofer. What's the success plan to be a success in America? What does all the data and common sense show us? And part two, this guy in Heritage say this is what ought to be taught in classrooms and is not being taught. You're going to say, well, these things are common sense, data-driven. Why are they not being taught in classrooms? Because they're objectionable to progressives. All right, so it's 855-839-1210. Be the first in. Well, second. We got Fauci so far. Someone who is an imposter/fraud. Is that the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles? Is that Joe Rogan? Is that Kraft Singles from Dan? Even though Maisie's out there buying them right now, probably hiding them, saying, I don't care what he says. These are not frauds. They're good cheese products.
Pasteurized cheese product.
Oh, God. 855.
Hey, real quick, can I just say a quick happy birthday to
Yes.
Fees357. He's one of our YouTube watchers. YouTube.com/@1210WPHT. Go like and subscribe. It's his wife's 59th birthday, Barb. So happy birthday, Barb.
Happy birthday, Barb. Coming up, big 1 o'clock hour here on Talk Radio 1210.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-682-9928. 800-682-9928. 800-682-9928.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
40 days to lose 20 to 40 plus pounds. With NJ Diet, it only takes 40 days to lose a contractually guaranteed 20 to 40 plus pounds. They use your hair, saliva, and blood work to personalize supplements that will target your hormonal imbalances so you can shed that fat. Then NJ Diet uses DNA info to help you keep it off. Locations in King of Prussia, Cherry Hill, and Newark, Delaware, or from anywhere with live online video consultations. Call 855-5NJ-DIET or visit NJDiet.com. That's NJDiet.com.
Hey, this is Ray Didinger. I had the opportunity to open the new Joe Conklin show. It was sensational. It includes all the impressions, Iverson, Merrill, and Mike Barkley. There's a whole new musical element to it. He performs with the City Rhythm Orchestra. So if you get an opportunity, get out and see the new Joe Conklin show.
See Joe Conklin in the City Rhythm Orchestra at Westchester University, January 26th and 27th. And at the Broadway Theater in Pittman, New Jersey, February 25th. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com. JoeConklin.com!
For over 4 decades, Kitchen Magic has been transforming ordinary kitchens into extraordinary spaces. Our dedicated team is at the core of our success, combining expertise and creativity to drive innovation and excellence. We understand that your kitchen is more than just a space. It's where memories are made and cherished for a lifetime. We'll craft a kitchen that truly becomes the heart of your home. Discover the possibilities at kitchenmagic.com today. Now offering no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months on your kitchen remodel.
Hey, John Marks here. Join me and Brent Selleck for the Birds New York watch party for the final game of the season at Maggie's Waterfront Cafe on the Delaware River, brought to you by Miller Lite. Cheer on the Birds and take a picture with Brent and the championship ring. Enjoy $3.50 Miller Lite bottles and drafts. It's Brent Selleck and yours truly for the final game of the season at Maggie's Waterfront Cafe. Game date and time is still TBD, so keep checking 94WIP.com for info. It's Miller time, Philadelphia. Celebrate responsibly.
Philadelphia's Talk Radio 1210 WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. It's Dom time. Now, Dom Giordano.
It is Dom time. One of our favorite spots here in the Dom Giordano Show is the Heritage Foundation. Great piece that I saw the other day from their outlet, the Daily Signal. Our guest, Jonathan Butcher, writing it. New education model for the new year charts course for success sequence. What is the success sequence? In other words, to make it where we are in America, what's the sequence? What are the things that go into that almost universally guarantee you success a bit later on in life? Or what are some of the things you can do that will block the success sequence?
I mean, I was promised dreams if I just went to college.
We're going to go back to that. I'll ask Jonathan Butcher about that. I'm writing
still
college
a reality.
down.
Is college still the path to success?
Well, wait a minute. You're a Dom Giordano show. Highly ranked in America.
Yeah,
the highest.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Although I still think that 15th ranking was way out of line. It was 7 last year. We should be at least
higher. What's going on?
We should be at least number 2, and I don't know who could be number 1. We'll take them down next year. Let's go to Jonathan Butcher from the Heritage Foundation on this. Hey, Jonathan, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Great to be with you.
Before we break down the other elements of this, my producer, Dan, Jonathan, says many times, we were guaranteed this. You got to go to college, even if you ring up that student loan debt.
We had posters on the wall, Jonathan, saying success is college and all
this. So what's your take on that as far as the sequence? Is college a major part of that?
Well, what social science has found really for years, generations, is that children from intact married families have better life outcomes, okay? They do better in school. They do better in their relationships with friends. They're more likely to be successful once they finish high school. But then once you look at the wide swath of literature around healthy families, you start to realize that there really is a sequence to keeping yourself out of poverty, right? You finish high school, you go into the workforce, or you pursue a terminal degree, or you enter college, and then you get married before you have children. And the research finds that among millennials, right, so the generation that now are the parents of young children, we find that 97% of them who followed this sequence were not in poverty during their prime working years. And even better, there was a significant percent, regardless of ethnicity and race, who were actually in the middle class or above.
Let me bring up the student loan debt, though. Factor that in. So they wouldn't be in poverty, but I don't think they'd be doing that well, though, right? Can we add that to the success sequence? Try to stay out of debt, the student loan debt.
Well, most certainly. I think that the push for many years has been, hey, look, you've got to go to college if you want to have a job that will help you live in the middle class, right? And I think the success sequence, the results here, find that is not necessarily the case, right? Look, the fact is that some 2/3 of Americans don't have a bachelor's degree, right? And what you're asking today from what the Biden administration has been pushing is they've been saying, look, we're going to ask 2/3 of working class Americans to pay the debt of 1/3, right? And among that, 1/3 or among those that have outstanding loan debt, a significant number, we're talking half or more, have graduate school debt, right? So we're talking, doctors and lawyers in many cases. And so to ask those who decided not to go to college or who paid their way through college to say, hey, look, you've got to pay for future doctors and lawyers. Not only is that, not fair, but that's something that really should make voters very upset, right? With the idea that,
government is just passing this
Well,
off
well,
of another
right,
kind of
and
wealth
yeah,
transfer.
and Jonathan, you're talking to the first in his family to go to college. Then I have my master's degree, and then I'm a law school dropout, so I didn't get to inflict those skills on progressives by using a legal degree, although someday I might. So I had to be paid for dropping out of law school. I think that ought to be covered.
Well, I mean, I think, the big thing that this whole model that we've put together at the Heritage Foundation, which really is based on research that goes back to some terrific scholars from the Brookings and the American Enterprise Institute and others. And what we have done with this model resolution that we put together is say that, look, schools should be teaching this information to young people. Right.
Okay, let me
I mean,
let me
we
stop
should
you.
be
Let me stop
telling-
you there because that's the major thing that I wanted to get into. And I'm a former educator, and you're exactly right. But how do they do that when that's in conflict? They're going to tell us, hey, if you say intact families, then their family is not. Things of that nature. How should schools exactly approach that?
Well, in the same way that, schools that jumped on the Black Lives Matter bandwagon were pushing the Black Lives Matter week of action principles, right? For those that have followed the Black Lives Matter movement, they had 13 principles that they foisted on schools to celebrate or whatever in a week each year. And one of those was that they wanted to challenge the idea of the nuclear intact family. I mean, this then is the opposite, right? This is saying, wait a minute, that's not based on research. The idea that there's something wrong with saying that healthy families make for healthy children and healthy communities. And you're not shaming anyone. I mean, look, people that have had difficult upbringings, people that made choices that they regret earlier in life or may not, the point is not to shame them. The point is to tell students, look, there is research here that if you get married before you have children, and before that, if you make sure that you finish high school and if you enter the workforce, you are less likely to be in poverty and more likely actually to have the chance to climb the ladder of success. I mean, these are things that we should be telling young people.
Well, I couldn't agree more. My producer, Dan, tells me, too, that you've been discussing CRT and DEI in the past. Has what we've seen play out here, Jonathan, with the anti-Semitism, with Harvard, et cetera, you're on top of this, the research and all. Are we going to see an overall pushback? CRT is a little bit dormant as a topic now, but the DEI perspective, is there going to be a reckoning on this?
Well, remember, DEI, or diversity, equity, and inclusion, that is just the application of critical race theory. So critical race theory hasn't gone anywhere. It has been applied through DEI on both college campuses as well as in the workforce. I mean, it is an $8 billion a year industry, okay, in diversity trainings in corporations across the country and even the world. So it is big money. Folks like Ibram X. Kendi and Robert DiAngelo charge, upwards of $50,000+ for whenever they give some of these talks. So I would say we should keep your eye on states that are going to follow Florida, Texas, Iowa, and now Oklahoma. Just last week in Oklahoma, the governor signed an executive order saying that public money, taxpayer dollars, cannot be used for DEI programs that advocate for racial preferences. They cannot be used for DEI programs that violate the Civil Rights Act. And I think states are going to follow this. I think other states in the coming legislative session, they are going to be looking for ways to make sure that taxpayer money does not pay for DEI programs. Wisconsin just did this recently as well. So I think there is a very strong move against critical race theory, and it is in the form of saying, these racist DEI programs have no place in public life.
Back to the success sequence. Is anybody that would be a good starting point if a school adopted that phraseology, the success sequence. I mean, I've heard it before. You certainly are involved with it, but you don't hear that, at least in my sense, in schools, that nomenclature and telling kids from the very earliest time on how proven this is, how this is a guarantee.
Yeah, states are moving in opposite directions depending on where you look. Some examples that I use all the time are South Dakota and Louisiana versus Minnesota and California. In South Dakota and Louisiana, they've just recently updated both states separately their social studies standards. And in those standards, they talk about things like freedom and opportunity and loving your country and understanding that America is not perfect, but still has, it gives examples of people to aspire to be like, right? It gives kids something that they can aspire to. California and Minnesota, on the other hand, are pushing the ethnic studies framework, which is all based around identity politics and is pushing critical race theory. I mean, they push the idea of intersectionality, which is the essence of sort of victimhood, right? And they advocate for Howard Zinn and his books, The People's History of the United States, which of course is all about being critical of U.S. history. So, you know, as you look at what different states are doing, we recognize that there's a cultural, a cultural struggle going on about how we define what American identity means. And I think there are some positive examples here that I think more states can look to, Louisiana and South Dakota being two.
Well, Jonathan, thank you. And again, the more we can just use that simple, something that we all know, but the research backs it up. It is follow the science, and following the science, you're going to be a success in America. You almost can't help it.
Yep, that's absolutely right. And I think we can give kids something to aspire to.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jonathan. Merry Christmas to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Jonathan Butcher here on Talk Radio 1210. But Dan, we come back to the college part of it. That's why I asked with your prompting there, and I'm in agreement. Do you put that into it? Is that part of the pillars? In other words, I like this idea. I am a big fan of the book Cultural Literacy. I interviewed the guy who wrote it several times. 3,000 terms that everybody that graduates from school ought to know. You know, simple proverbs. Bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. What happened in 1939 to 1945? In other words, actual factual foundations for this. Well, this is the foundation for success. Now, can you be a success even if you violate those? Of course. Maybe you have extraordinary talent. Maybe later in life, it all comes together for you and you're driven to do it. But it brings up the thing all the time. You almost have to work at failing. I make this one exception, Dan. I don't know about you. If you have a chronic, really tough illness, I could see that may thwart your success. It might. It might be so difficult, it makes it hard. But short of that, how can you not succeed in America? You know, one adjunct to that, though, are you a success if you're walking around with $100,000 in student loan debt over your head? Something like that. I'd say it's you're not a success yet till you get rid of that. That's always going to be a problem.
I do think success or finding success is a learned asset that maybe some don't have access to, though.
Yeah.
Like you look,
they don't see it around them.
Yeah, like you look to, like for example, some of the lesser meaned neighborhoods here in Philadelphia. They're surrounded by individuals who haven't found success in life. Maybe parents that haven't found success. They don't have the advisement to find success themselves.
That's why in school, to his point and the point that I'd make, that's why you have to be blatant about what are the things that take you to success.
Yeah.
And you can't because you're told by people in the Philadelphia public schools, well, then you're renouncing the neighborhood around you. Oh, well, yes, you are. But you're not renouncing your roots. You're not renouncing your identity. You're renouncing the downside of that.
Yeah. And the thing I've always thought of is like even someone in like the worst of Kensington, there's, the Wendy's on Aramingo Ave. There are part-time jobs that you can make some, valid money and then start moving up the chain and save up for, maybe a community college education. And there are definitely paths to success for everybody here in the United States.
But to your point, if it's all around you, you're not seeing enough of it every day. What's the one vehicle that can do more? Well, there are two.
School.
One, school. Two, role models who are out there who are successful, and they can say, here's how I got to success. Now, it doesn't help bringing in I've seen this, very successful people to school who have a rare talent. They can sing and dance. They're 7 foot and can play basketball. You know what I mean? That's a negative because it's not going to be you. There are very few people that are 7 feet tall. There are very few people. Yesterday we did Golden Voices that have that. right?
I feel like this is a veiled shot at me, kind of.
No, it's not. What do you mean? What, because you're 6'8"?
Because I'm enormous and can't play basketball.
Oh, yeah, you go. Well, it's always a part of the show. All right, 855-8. That's one of the running storylines. We got to do the top 10 running storylines of the show. The 40-yard football throw definitely is one of them.
That I can do.
Yes. The just some of my idiosyncrasies, they're just. Yeah. All right, let's go to Tom in Marlton on Talk Radio 1210. Our side question today: imposters/frauds. Is Nick Sirianni? Dan, put that one on Twitter if you would. Is Nick Sirianni a imposter/fraud? Yes or no?
We've gotten some pushback already on Twitter.
Yes.
Like people are saying, "Why Nick Sirianni?" Well, I mean, look at yesterday. How could you ask that?
Well, he's the head coach. He's, he's not responsible for a lot of what's going on here.
So, what, you just want me to word it? Is Nick Sirianni a fraud?
Well, imposter/fraud. I'm trying to soften it a little bit. You want to go fraud? I'm going imposter a little bit.
Imposter/fraud.
Yeah. So these people don't think this is pretty telling.
Just a fire poll or something we want to keep open for a day? Because remember, we're about to have that. Okay.
Yeah, just a fire poll.
Yeah, we're about to have our Caller of the Year final.
Yeah. So you think he is or no?
Yeah. No, I do. Like, I took a little bit longer to go to your side because I vividly remember you saying 4 weeks ago you saw his reactions on the sideline, and you were the first one to initially say when you are trying to lead a position of leadership and you're showing that kind of emotion, you can't tell your players to calm it down. It's going to lead to dysfunction. And I said that on other side because when you said that, it triggered in me. Like, man, you're 100% right. This guy's emotion is gonna collapse once they start losing, and we're seeing that exactly now. And it's because the guy had players. He had the successful players to rely on for all this time. And now that we're seeing some trouble, he's being completely exposed. And it looks like an 8-year-old playing the game of Madden. The way he's like play calling.
You've been sitting on that line for a while.
No, I have.
I know, yeah.
And people are blaming Jalen Hurts, but when you have a quarterback that's not making his check downs, you need someone that's strong enough, respected enough to say, Jalen, you need to start looking at your check downs. And I don't think there's anyone in that locker room that's willing to do that.
I think you're right. Tom in Marlton. Hey, Tom, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dom and Dan. Hey, Dom, I was just thinking, I know I've been out of the loop for a while. And I know I've had my share of those certificates over the last year and a half or so. Think maybe I could get a honorable mention?
Oh, absolutely. Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's Caller of the Year. You were considered, Tom.
Yeah,
come on. There was at least like 15 people that were considered for this.
Yeah, sure. You just haven't heard from you as much, I guess. That's the only thing.
I've been out of the loop.
Yeah.
No
I mean,
problem.
but definitely it's top 10.
My
So
church buddy over here.
Yeah.
Hey, can I tell you a real quick story, Dom?
Yes.
I'm at a wholesale club, one of the big ones, a couple days ago. And I paid for my own, I went through the where you do it yourself, you scan it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm scanning, and all of a sudden, everything stops. And the machines, someone will be there to help you in a minute. I'm like, oh, what the heck happened here? Lady comes running over. She doesn't say anything. She just blurts out, date of birth.
What?
That's what I said. What?
Yeah.
She goes, I need your date of birth. I said, for what? She said, you're buying alcohol, aren't you?
Ah.
I said, lady, I'm in my mid-60s here. She goes, that doesn't mean anything. That's the rules.
It is. And Tom, I think if it's Sudafed and stuff like that, because I was doing it the other night, and the person came over and said, we need that. Yes, Sudafed.
I mean, it's unbelievable what's going on. But anyway, I'll go with my two fakers. I know they had a big hit. Then they might even had a couple of hits. And Milli Vanilli, and then they found to be lip syncing.
Yeah, before you let go, Tom, can I give you, because I was going to actually use Milli Vanilli for the Money Melody today. I'm going to switch it up now because after the whole lip syncing scandal, Rob and Fab actually went to the studio and recorded some of themselves singing just to prove that they can actually sing. And I have a sample of them singing, and boy, it's bad. Here you go. Stay away is what you want. I love how you can't even hear them sing because the music's so loud. But they tried to prove themselves, and Rob and Fab,
that backs up Tom on this as an all-time imposter fraud.
Yes.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, you know what? Let me. They should stick to lip syncing.
Yes. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
All right. The caller of the year heats up. Yeah, Tom is definitely one of ours, but we just didn't hear from him for, you know what I mean, Dan? That's, next year. Oh, my God, I hate to make up the caller of the year list. How's it going here between the Earl of Tacony and Bruce of the far Northeast?
Bruce of the Northeast is losing still, 40.5% to Earl's 59.5%.
And the voting ends, at 2 o'clock?
49 minutes left.
49 minutes left at Dom Show 1210. And once we have that, we know they'll be playing Scott of Mount Laurel, who's put Dom time out there in the popular culture.
Yeah. But like Tom and Marlton, I ran into him in church one time.
Yeah.
He's a great caller.
Down the shore at Mulligan's. That guy must have a wardrobe of Hawaiian shirts, too. He really does.
So many names that just
he's just a good, all-around good guy.
And another one that was considered was Frank in South Philly. Remember, he brought us those great Capicool or Gabagool.
And Paul of Westchester, who is off on his own tangent.
So many honorable mentions. But we had to narrow it down, and this is what we ended up with. Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to be having a pretty good event coming up. I can't tell you yet all the details, and we hope that a lot of these regulars are there and meet each other, and you come out and meet them, too. I'll tell you about it when I can. 855-839-1210. That's how you get on board here with Dom and Dan. Coming up at 1:30, we're going to talk with the guy who was the architect of the bill that has Larry Krasner yesterday, Dan, standing there holding up a giant map of Philadelphia saying this is what's going to happen if we don't stop this bill, which has been signed. It's law now about SEPTA and Larry Krasner's powers. So the Krasner world is not happy. 855-839-1210.
This Christmas, put the world on hold and enjoy a Sinatra and Friends Christmas with Sid Mark.
You better watch out. Better not cry.
Starting Christmas Eve at 3, it's Frank, Dean, and Sammy, plus Ella, Barbara, Tony, and more. A Sinatra and Friends Christmas with Sid Mark. Christmas Eve at 3 and all day Christmas Day. Only on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. For years I've been talking about the great work my friends Stephanie and Matt and the entire team at Emmons have done for me and my home. Well, now Emmons can bring that same quality of work to all of your kitchen and bathroom remodeling needs. Emmons Roofing has really become the one-stop shop for all your roofing, siding, windows, solar, and now baths and kitchens. Trust the team at Emmons just like we did. They remodeled our kitchen and our bathroom in our former house, and we were so happy with the work they did. If you have a property at the shore, have the team at Emmons come out and take a look at the roof now. Small winter leaks can lead to big, costly repairs when the warm weather hits. So call 856-556-3229. Call today for a free estimate online at emmonsroofing.com or visit the Emmons Design Showroom in Cherry Hill. That's emmonsroofing.com. Be sure to tell them I sent you. Remember, for 6 years, I've been using Emmons on every project in my home. Excellent results, outstanding people. emmonsroofing.com.
With food prices going up, it's hard to decide on what to buy and where to buy. If you're looking for a way to stretch your food dollars, look no further than your neighborhood grocery outlet. We have the name brands you love for 40 to 70% less than regular grocery stores. Our stores are locally owned and operated by people in your community, so we understand the challenges you are facing. Stop by your local grocery outlet today for deals you won't believe.
Grocery Outlet Bargain Market.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together, millions of things for our planet. This holiday season, invest in some LED Christmas lights. LEDs last years longer than regular lights, which means less electronic waste over time. Also, LED Christmas lights are far more energy efficient, wasting less energy as heat, which means a smaller electric bill. And be sure to recycle old Christmas lights at appropriate e-waste facilities. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
At Cherry Hill Volvo, we have started a huge renovation. Take our already incredibly generous offers and add an additional $1,000 off all new Volvos, plus owner loyalty, plus up to $2,000 when financing or leasing with Volvo cars, plus $7,500 lease rebate on all plug-in Volvos. This is a fabulous time to purchase from Cherry Hill Volvo. This month's offers are incredible, and we must make space for all the construction vehicles. Visit us now.
Calling on Blackwood to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
With the stars up above in your eyes. Fantabulous night to make romance.
All right, Dom Giordano Show. We'll have Dom's Money Melody at about 2:13, 2:14 today. 855-839-1210. You get on board. We're going to talk with the architect of this bill for public safety, who I believe says, hey, Krasner can still prosecute people if he wants, but so can SEPTA around it. What's wrong with that? He doesn't want to prosecute people. That's what. But Dan, yesterday, for once, he didn't have people standing on their little squares. He was standing on one as Sharif Street spoke and holding up this artist rendering of how much of Philadelphia now will be covered by this new law.
Didn't say run the ball on the sign?
No, he did not. I'd love to get Krasner's take on this meltdown last night.
Well, Minnie says maybe you can invite Krasner to the studio for an interview with the promise of awesome homemade lasagna.
Oh, that's right, because of the Minnie is very good. The lasagna of lies that he talked about. And that seems to be very, very anti-Italian to me.
One thing can you clear up with
yes.
the senator is a lot on Reddit was because you had Krasner release that statement. He's like, oh, they're taking away my authority.
Yes.
Doesn't this only enact if Krasner chooses not to prosecute? So does he get first bite at it first and then it falls to this special prosecutor?
No one knows. I'll ask him that. My sense is it is a backup, though, Dan, that's around this. And the
so
thing
there's nothing to complain about.
Right. And the thing that's inescapable, though, that nobody in the media asked these people yesterday, 48 Democrats voted for it. I went through the list in Montgomery County. I have it in Bucks and Delaware. The locals here. All right. Why in the world did all these Democrats vote for it? And then he bank shots into the fact, the biggie, democracy's under attack, meaning you don't remember this. I don't think you were doing talk radio then. Oh, you weren't. When John Street ran against Sam Katz, Katz was in second time around, was a little bit ahead than John Street, Johnny Doc, and sadly, Bob Brady, who I really get along with now, Dan. They concocted that George W. Bush didn't want a black man to succeed, John Street, because all these people were arrested for corruption. There was a bug in Philadelphia. I think Pat Meehan may have been the federal prosecutor at that point. George Bush going, yeah, I can't stand that John Street. John Street can't become mayor. Can you imagine, hey, partner, I'm going to the ranch. Who's this John Street? Imagine telling Bush who John Street was. Hey, partner, get out of here. Right? And he won the election going away because of that.
Rides on a horse.
That's what they did. Today, there's still bad blood over that, and I understand why. So, this idea is preposterous, that this is just about stopping Krasner. It's about assuring public safety. And Krasner, the line of the day was, if SEPTA were a county, it would be the safest in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Can you imagine? Let's have Larry then. What the media will say, would you be willing to ride SEPTA up and down for a week, midnight, the L, right? And by yourself,
Remember him with the Phillies? He was all
yeah. He's got his security detail with him. He's got 100 people from his office who have to go. And he tells us how safe it was going to the Phillies game.
Yeah, he loved it.
Yeah, well, let's go to the Somerset stop, Dan. I'm told that's the worst, maybe. Imagine Larry getting off in Somerset over in Kensington, right, by himself.
Yeah.
First of all, figuring out where he was, once he gets out of Center City. Come on. All right, 855-839-1210. I would volunteer for duty to cover that one and see what happens. Oh, man. All right, we're going to talk with the architect of this bill and how did it get through. Governor signed it. 48 Democrats voted for it in the House. overwhelming vote in the state Senate, and it came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting this. We'll get insights on this and Krasner's demented reaction to it. Hey, this holiday season, if your wishes are coming true, all your wishes are coming true on FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge Casino. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers, you get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. And you don't have to be a football expert to do this. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from money line to point spreads to player props. Same game parlays. They have those made up for you, and you'll really like the FanDuel app. The app is easy to use. Spreads, player props, over, under. So visit FanDuel.com/Dom. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official partner of 1210 WPHT. You have to be 21 plus, present in Pennsylvania. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame money line wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? 1-800-GAMBLER.
Lose weight and feel great with NJ Diet. NJ Diet uses DNA and blood work to help you lose weight and keep it off. Tune into the radio show Sunday at 2 or visit njdiet.com.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171.
Weather sponsored by Wawa. Today, much colder under partly sunny skies, still windy with a high below average of 42. A very cold night tonight, partly cloudy with a low 28 for the city and colder out in the suburbs. And not as windy on Wednesday, mostly sunny skies with a high 47.
At Wawa, we have you covered with gift cards for everyone on your list. From Wawa gift cards or a gift card from your favorite brand. Happy holidays from Wawa.
Broadcasting live from the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and on the free Odyssey app.
All right, it's for my money, one of the 2 or 3 most amazing stories of the last 20 years, 25 years, 30, 50 in the Philadelphia area, and that's what's going on here with Larry Krasner, and more broadly, the homicide rate, the retail theft rate, the lawlessness, particularly how many times when we talk about SEPTA, whether it's the L or it's the underground subway, with SEPTA, it's just routine. Joining us is a state senator who did something about this, the SEPTA part of this. Senator Wayne Langerholtz Jr. is somebody called out by name by Larry Krasner with his map yesterday that was drawn up in a big rally with ministers.
Look at a map. Look at this map.
Who is this evil man that did this to our own Larry Krasner? Senator, welcome to Philadelphia. Thanks for joining us today.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me, Don.
Well, Senator, give me your idea when you drafted this, and then we'll talk about the execution, the particulars. There's a lot of misinformation or speculation out there about the particulars, but I think you can answer it by telling us the broad strokes of this. And this is the most successful bipartisan, other than saying mom and apple pie, that I've seen. You guys can't even get a roof fix there, at least in the assembly in Harrisburg. So to get this passed with 48 Democrats, wow. What's the overall idea?
Yes, I was very pleased to get this through the House and to get Governor Shapiro to sign it. This bill was born out of about 2 years ago. I'm the chairman of the Transportation Committee in the Senate, And we were hearing different individuals that had reached out about the overwhelming increase in crime and the lack of safety with regard to SEPTA. So we took the transportation committee down to Philadelphia, and we had a public hearing on SEPTA, and were able to, ride SEPTA, tour the facility, see the footage, talk to the people involved, talk to all the different individuals. I was able to talk to the police firsthand to kind of get a flavor for what was happening down there. And overwhelmingly, what we learned was that crime was running rampant, that people don't feel safe, and that law enforcement feels that no one has their back. So we took that back with us to Harrisburg, and we were able to sit down and craft this legislation and come up with the product that what was passed here not too long ago, Senate Bill 140.
Yeah, and as I said, we had on Eamon Brown, one of the Democrats in Philadelphia who voted for it in the House, and he underlined, look at all these people on Monco, Bucks, the surrounding camp, particularly Monco I went through, who are Democrats who voted for it, and they're close to home. They're feeling the effects of this lawlessness in Philadelphia. Now, of course, we hear angles of attack. So what's your sense from this bill? Is it just if you're on SEPTA property that a prosecutor can be, is it mandatory that the Attorney General, first of all, appoint a prosecutor?
Yes, that is the law that take effect immediately, that the Attorney General appoint a special prosecutor. There are very specific requirements for that special prosecutor. One, that they cannot have worked within the past 6 years in that office, in the district attorney's office. Secondly, they've got to reside within Philadelphia, and there's some other requirements as well. But yeah, this is a safety issue, and the fact that people are trying to make this into something that it's not is very, I think, disingenuous. And quite frankly, I expected more. I know my colleague in the Senate, Senator Street, calling out that I should worry about Johnstown. And he's, ramping up saying about this 500-foot jurisdiction. I challenge him to show me where in the law it says 500 feet within Senate Bill 140. Quite frankly, I thought he was an attorney. I thought I would expect a little more legal analysis from him. And it's very sad that he's using this for his own political benefit rather than focusing on the issue and getting his constituents and those people fired up about an issue that it should be about safety. The district attorney should be welcoming this with open arms. This is not a novel concept. This is not a novel idea. I was an assistant district attorney in Cambria County for a little less than 10 years. I worked many times across jurisdictions with the state police, with the FBI, with our drug task force. So this is just another tool in the toolbox that should be helping his constituents. It should be helping the people in Philadelphia that ride SEPTA. I mean, it's indisputable that ridership is down. It's indisputable that the crime is up. This will help with that.
So you're saying too, and it's true under this as I read it, that Krasner can still prosecute or do it in conjunction with this prosecutor. Nothing is taken away his power. The only thing is he can't, as he usually does, decline to prosecute even some serious things that can happen here. And this prosecutor from SEPTA can make a decision to prosecute.
That's correct. Nothing inhibits his prosecutorial abilities. He can continue to prosecute crimes even that occur on SEPTA. Nobody's taking that away from him. Nobody's taking away his power to prosecute within the rest of the city, within the rest of his jurisdiction. This is just if the special prosecutor chooses to step in to lend assistance, to help with some of those more serious crimes that we know that aren't being prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. When I toured the facility and I talked to different law enforcement officers, and they tell me that the going rate for a violation with a firearm on SEPTA is about a 2-year probationary term. That's incredulous to me. That should not be happening. When I talk to the law enforcement officers that say that they're arresting people for violating it and they're right back out on the street reoffending, that's a problem. That needs to be dealt with. Nobody was doing anything about it, and something needed to be done. And I'm very, very grateful that people ultimately realized the seriousness of this situation and voted to remove this bill to the governor's desk. And I'm very grateful to Governor Shapiro for stepping up in a very quick manner and signing the bill into law.
I don't know if you guys were on the L, what we call the L here, the elevated and all that. But it's quality of life stuff that's criminal behavior, shooting up drugs, things of that nature. Aboard the train with other people there, kids, whatever, it doesn't matter. And what happens, you probably were told this, why would SEPTA police then continue to intervene, bring people in when they feel that certain things are either going to, 2-year probation for a gun on SEPTA that's illegal, shooting up drugs, nothing happens. They're back almost as quickly as you brought them in.
Right. And I think, too, going to the root of the problem, the lack of ability to follow up with just basic summary citations for people that might, jump the turnstiles. There's no accountability. There's no accountability for that. And that leads to then people in those facilities that shouldn't be there and that are causing this, the ancillary rise in other offenses.
Well, we know, too, the broken windows syndrome. Back in the day when New York was cleaned up, you mentioned the one that's the face of it, jumping turnstiles. And they found the people that they got jumping the turnstiles and the lawlessness vibe that gives, they were often violating probation. They had other offenses. That's who's going to be doing this stuff most of the time.
Yes, absolutely. And then it just rises to this other level of crime. And it's just a perpetual cycle here of violence. And there's got to be accountability. There's got to be somebody there to say, look, if you're going to do this, you're going to be dealt with to the fullest extent of the law. We're not going to let you out, on bail. We're not going to prosecute you. We're not going to find you, accountable for your actions.
So a couple of things then. What's your sense then of where Sharif Street, who's been on the show a number of times, is getting to 500 feet from, and tell us why that is faulty? I mean, that's one of the major things they put out there. In addition to which, you're a suspect in taking away democracy in Philadelphia by taking away the voters who voted for Larry Krasner.
Well, I mean, to that last part first, I mean, like I had indicated prior, nobody's taking away his prosecutorial power. Tomorrow, he can have a renewed sense of vigor and decide to go full bore and prosecute crimes on SEPTA. Nobody's stopping him from that. With respect to my colleague adding this 500-foot jurisdiction, I was first asked by another news media outlet a couple of days ago, about that. And I said, this, quite frankly, it's false. There's nothing in the bill that mentions 500 feet. I think where they were drawing that from was from just the general jurisdiction that SEPTA police can deal within 500 feet of their facilities. But I would point to, this bill is very specific, that it speaks to crimes that occur within the SEPTA transportation facility. This is for crime occurring within SEPTA, very clear, not out 500 feet from a bus stop or what have you. And that's not the intent of this bill. The intent of this bill is to help clean up SEPTA. There's a lot of world-class events coming to the city of Philadelphia in the coming days, and this will help to give more confidence. But ultimately, it's about safety. When you hear stories of individuals that are afraid to ride SEPTA or that don't, and how ridership's down, we need to restore that public confidence in SEPTA. And this district attorney, quite frankly, hasn't done it.
Absolutely. So in summary, this is just a safety net here. It's another avenue, more resources and more ability to enforce the law.
Yes, this is no different than if the Attorney General would designate a task force or a transit authority task force. Same thing. This is just helping those individuals that may be starved with the prosecutorial abilities to be able to help that tool in the toolbox.
Exactly. When does this take effect? I see 30 days. Is that from when the bill was signed by the governor, or is there some waiting period here?
It is immediate. No, it is within, yes.
All right. So I have to ask you, this
yeah.
has been too low key for me. You don't know how miraculous this is. I actually do a show based around Krasner. I've been involved with the impeachment process, et cetera. I'm not drawing you into that other than to say, my goodness, how did people in Harrisburg come together? 48 Democrats, many of them right here in the suburbs, at least 4, I think, in Philadelphia, have come around on this to say, yes, that's what our constituents want. Take us inside. You don't seem surprised by this. I am.
I think that it speaks to people finally realizing the seriousness of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe when this bill was introduced, a while ago, at first blush, it seemed, crazy that this would be something that somebody would use the transportation committee to to take in that area. But then I think as time kind of went on and people realized the situation, that something needed to happen, that someone needed to do something, that is what brought people to the table. And then that, as well with compromise with some other bills that, on other fronts, this was a good compromise bill. But again, the fact that there was 159 to 44 in the House shows me that this is, that we were not off base when we touted this legislation. We were not, just seeing something in a vacuum. This situation, this problem is real. And this, I'm happy for the confidence in the House to be able to vote for that, to say, hey, we need to step in and do something. If nobody's going to stand up for the riders of SEPTA, somebody needs to.
Absolutely. Well, I think you're just a persuasive guy behind the scenes. I can see this guy's playing cards, drinking alcohol. Come on now. Now let's do this. But it is amazing that this has happened. So congratulations on this for all of our listeners, and particularly here in Philadelphia. Have a great Christmas season, and please keep us in the loop when you're not stealing democracy from Philadelphia.
Well, thank you very much, Tom, and thank you for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
You are welcome.
Have a great day. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I don't think we've had him on before, Dan. Very unassuming, but suddenly he's had a real breakthrough. Now, the 500-foot thing, Dan, please invite Sharif Street on. I know he likes to come on at times, and now I'm loaded up because I actually have the bill. That means SEPTA police have jurisdiction up to 500 feet, I think. Something happens, they're given chase. You know what I mean? That's all it means. It doesn't mean now that this guy's found a backdoor way to take over Philadelphia here. I wish he did, to be honest.
So what I read from that interview is essentially Larry Krasner's now bitching and moaning that if he doesn't prosecute, then he doesn't want anyone else to prosecute.
That's exactly right. Yes.
What a joke this guy is.
Yeah, well, and if we get Sharif Street on, I'm going to say my sense is, look, Sherrell Parker was elected mayor of Philadelphia. What was the platform?
Larry's angry at a safety net for his incompetency.
Right. Helen Gim, Sharif, wasn't elected, who wants to do what Krasner's doing or worse. Sherrell Parker was elected, and people were telling her in black and brown neighborhoods exactly what this guy put forward. Krasner standing up there with this map, just holding it up, though, as Sharif Street is speaking. Oh, it must be galling him. It must be galling him that Josh Shapiro signed off on this. And what was it, 48 Democrats in the House. Wow.
I love that a staffer had to go to FedEx to get it.
Yeah, exactly. Give me that map of Philadelphia over here. Where's Dom Giordano's house? All right, he's included in this. A special little line in there, Dom Giordano's house.
Beacon that's like,
there will be a special prosecutor for 500 feet of Dom Giordano's house. Dan moved. I was going to get that rider in there for Port Richmond. He moved too soon to an undisclosed Jersey location. By the way, where you are, any rumblings of what the local politicians or anything that?
Oh no, I haven't gotten involved yet.
Okay, good.
My first step is to do a coup on the HOA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. You were in a homeowners
association?
Oh yeah.
Oh man. Oh yeah. We're paying those homeowner association
and you
fees.
Didn't tell us that. This is one of the greatest fodders for talk radio because we have an audience where about a third of them love the homeowners Dragoon policy. DJ lives in one, and I get material from there. You can't have a play gym that's metal. It's got
look like
wood.
our HOA is good because the
Yeah.
prices are low and
Right.
they do what they're expected. I mean, there's trash pickup. They mow
You're
the
running
lawn.
for president?
Not yet, but I will be. But there are
Wait
places
a
in
minute.
Cherry Hill that are like $700, $800 a
Do
month.
they do the edging?
Is
edging
I
good?
believe they do.
I see. I
I
check
think
on that.
they do
I check
edging.
on it. If Rose said, you know what, that's look
That's my first move as president. If they don't do edging, then I have to hire an
Roe
edger.
would say the schools are great. Look at how beautiful it is here. They don't do the edging. That's it. That's off.
Maisie, the accountant, as the treasurer.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
that
power
works.
behind the throne. They'd never suspect what she's really like as a boss lady. They would think
3
she's just
reserved
nice.
spots in front of my house just for us,
Exactly.
but nobody else gets reserved spots.
All right, we got a whole backstory. By the way, how is that poll going? Is Nick Sirianni an imposter/fraud?
54% say yes.
I told you we were on to something.
46% say no.
And they're angry. Okay, yes, that's good. All right, phone lines. All right.
17 minutes left in the battle for the
And how's that going?
Northeast. Yeah, so 2023 Dom Show Caller of the Year is happening right now at
Right.
Dom Show 1210 on Twitter. Earl and Tacony, 57.8% of the vote versus Bruce with 42.2% of the vote in the semifinals. Finals
close.
coming up at 2.
Pretty close. All right.
Wait, don't mean to cut you off again. I
Yeah.
apologize. Just some production behind the scenes, but here on air. How long you want this vote to go for, the final?
Oh, the final? I
Yeah.
think at least a day.
So you want, should we do 2 days?
2 days.
Yeah.
They keep
Is that
the
would bring, what's
suspense
today,
up.
Tuesday,
Yeah,
Wednesday,
Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah.
They announce on Thursday? Okay.
By the way, does the homeowners there say you can have colored lights, brightly colored lights?
Oh,
or
I
do
put
you have
up
to be
lights.
white? Are they white or brightly
No, they're
colored?
colored.
Colored lights.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's surprising because I like the white lights better.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
There's Dan the Red,
They were
folks.
they were sitting there. I was like, oh, you know what? These are sitting in the basement. Why not put these
right.
up?
He's been out it once again. He's on that
Put
side.
garland on the staircase. I got real creative, Dom.
All right. It's 855-839-1210. Get in now on Talk Radio 1210. Let's talk about our buddies over at N3 Oceanic because rescue. The winter months are rolling in, and it's a good time to tell you about this great Rescue Natural Supplements Deck the Hall sale. We're talking up to a whopping 78% off. That's on all products, including essential omega-3s, cholesterol support, natural pain relief, and more. And get this, savings last the entire month. Did I mention, too, that Rescue is offering 15 special health-boosting products at under $20? To order, just call 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Speak to a Rescue product consultant or shop online at res-q.com, res-q.com. You can fortify your immune system, boost energy levels, and support overall well-being with Rescue's selection of over 50 high-quality natural supplements. There's no code needed to save up to 78% site-wide, so stay healthy this holiday season by shopping res-q.com. Do it today.
This is Larry Steinhaus of Investor Schooling. I am so proud to announce the continuing success of our students at Investor Schooling. You already know that at Investor Schooling, we teach real estate investing and stock options. Did you also know that we teach things about tax savings, estate planning, and business coaching as well? We teach things about money I bet you never knew. At Investor Schooling, we teach from the perspective of true experience. If you want to see what our students think about Investor Schooling, please check out the over 160 5-star Google reviews. To find out more about how you can change your financial life, go to investorschooling.com or call 866-424-2829. That's 866-424-2829, and you can attend a complimentary class this Thursday at 7 p.m. Attend that class and see for yourself what Investor Schooling is all about. Go to investorschooling.com or call 866-424-2829. That's 866-424-2829. We can't wait to see you this Thursday.
Hey, show the camera. Well, treating yourself this holiday season, why not treat your car as well by scheduling an appointment for your car at United Tire? From new tires to oil changes to state inspections and everything in between, the highly skilled technicians at United Tire are happy to work around your schedule to do whatever your car needs, no matter the make or model. So get your new year in gear and treat your car to some special guests from your locally owned United Tire. You can also visit UnitedTire.com. Don't drive alone. Drive United.
Hey, Philly, it's quarterback Jalen Hurts and Window Nation's Harley. Hey, Harley, what's the right play?
How about 0% interest for 5 full years?
What?
And get 50% off all style windows.
Oh, right. It's halftime at Window Nation. Score new windows for your home at half price.
Save 50% on all style windows. And for a limited time, get 0% interest for 60 months.
That's why you should call my team, Window Nation, today.
Yeah, Jalen.
At 866-90-NATION or visit online at windownation.com.
Calling on Atco, New Jersey to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app.
Download it now.
They're running a strange program, y'all.
It's Dan time
I can handle things. I'm smart. Not like everybody says.
with Dom.
Don't know if I can handle things today, Dom. Whoa, missing my music. There it is. It's Dan time with Dom. The time that producer Dan takes over the Dom Giordano program and gives you some less political topics. But Dom, I'm gonna get a little political today, maybe, but more so in society. The culture, and that's because there's a story in the Atlantic that these cell phones that we have are making students dumber, which I think is kind of an inevitability, right? But oftentimes you're at the restaurant. I want Dom Giordano's opinion on this. Oftentimes you're sitting there, and me and Maisie, we don't have any kids yet, but it's a big pet peeve where you just hear video game sound effects, and you turn around and some kid's nose deep into his iPad because his parents don't want to put up with him complaining about the food, just hands him the iPad to stay quiet. Right. But Dom, and Ask Reddit, it popped up within the past week. There's a person asking, a young person that says, I have a gift certificate to a high-end steakhouse. I made a reservation for 2, but my person dropped on me, but I still want to go experience the steakhouse. Is it appropriate to go alone and eat in a steakhouse and watch your tablet? So
sure.
You think so?
Yeah,
you think so? Because
yeah,
the tablet generation is now, because I'm totally against this, Dom, because if you're in a steakhouse, you're sitting there, it's an art.
Well,
Cooking
you're alone, though.
Yeah, but still, like, the servers are doing a job that's somewhat of an art. They practice it. It's fine dining. Then you have steak that the chef is. I feel like it's disrespectful to you can't just enjoy the moment and look around and people watch. You got to. I feel it's horrible for this generation. Their nose just completely in the tablet. Now they're adults. They're eating alone in fine steakhouses. And
so you were saying the whole time, and he's just not I would agree. But I mean, if he occasionally looks at it, if you're alone eating there and all, now you're making the steakhouse to make your point, Da Vinci.
I think it's okay to bring a book.
Okay.
Because
I was going to say the paper, but we don't read papers.
Yeah,
anymore,
newspapers, nobody reads those anymore.
So it's technology. It's an iPad.
Yeah.
Might be listening to the Dom Giordano show.
How about headphones?
No.
No?
That's too far.
No headphones allowed?
No headphones.
How about headphones for kids at a restaurant if they're playing on their tablet?
No, I'd say you're trying to get them used to going out and eating, which you're completely against until you and Maisie have kids. And all the virtue signals. See, that's the right-wing virtue signals here. You can't bring kids out. They love it when we see these restaurants say that's ridiculous.
You can bring kids out, but I feel like it's a parent's duty to, keep them in line without having to hand them over some technology.
Right. And if they're bad parents, they're going to be bad parents. I agree. But many times, I think it's overblown what people are saying about kids. They're running all over the place. They're
a little bit of Monday morning quarterbacking for, child rearing going on.
Exactly.
But because I haven't experienced it myself, but it's.
That's true.
There's got to be.
You have a kid. That's what I'd say to you. You don't look like it. Or
I don't need to hear that while I'm eating.
Madam, Maisie, do you have a child?
Or some YouTuber at the top of their volume? No, thank you.
No.
All right, sorry, I just wanted some time to rant here on Dan Time today. That's all I got for you,
That's
Dom.
a good question, though. Okay, coming up, big 2:00 hour, we have Dom's Money Melody. We're going to talk with Congressman Guy Reschenthaler. That's at 2:30. He's got a lot. He's one of the leaders on the House side as the end of the year. What happens next? You heard the guy here, though, about Krasner World, Krasnerland. Boy, Krasnerland's gotten a lot smaller. Larry's lost the SEPTA area. Can you imagine his argument is, well, if I don't want to prosecute, you can't prosecute. Yeah, like that's going to hold up. All right, 855-839-1210. That's how you get in on Talk Radio 1210.
Are you concerned about your child struggling in school? Do they need more of a challenge? Now's the time to make the call to Kathy Ganna and New Hope Academy in Yardley and Doylestown at 800-300-0003. Let New Hope Academy transform your child's life forever by helping them now. For over 3 decades, New Hope Academy founder Kathy Ganna, a pioneering educator and entrepreneur who created the NHA model, has been utilizing state-of-the-art solutions to uncover ways where your child could avoid struggling and succeed. At New Hope Academy, there's a student-teacher ratio of 2-to-1, allowing for students to deal with many disorders, including high anxiety, social, and emotional, and including bipolar. Do not wait. Remember, only the best teachers can work at NHA. Call for a no-obligation tour and consultation. 90% of NHA graduates pursue a college education. Call Kathy today at 800-300-0003. Online, newhopeacademy.net. Call New Hope Academy today.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive